Hi, I'm Taylor Ward, and you're listening to Halfway Around the Halo.
Fires the first. The Angels have no hit. The Seattle Mariners racing back to the track. Gone! Big fly for Mike Trout. There it is. Hit number 3,000 for Albert Pujols. Gone! Big fly, Ohtani shot. Wall Trout leaps up, and he got it. Oh, my! Jared has no hit. The Minnesota Twins. Harrison, the Angels, world champions.
Good evening and welcome to Halfway Around the Halo, the LA Angels UK podcast. This is season 7, episode 6, and I am your host, Nick Wright at LA Angels UK. I am dressed in all black this evening to mark the funeral of the Halos 2025 baseball season. We are recording live straight away after the Mariners series defeat, after the game today. I think feelings are pretty raw. Emotions are still pretty high. We just wanted to capture, I think, the state of where we are with the Halos right now. And I am obviously very, very happy to be able to do that with Toby Barnes, who is currently, and this is the dedication to the podcast for you, currently in Saudi Arabia. It's about 10 past 2 in the morning over there. And it's midnight here in the UK, and I've jumped on and Toby's jumped on. But Toby, how you doing aside from Angels?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. It's my first time actually in Saudi Arabia. It's an interesting place. I shall say no more because I may get in trouble.
Yeah, you probably save that for a subsequent podcast when you're not there. But I'm glad you've made it. Glad you're having a reasonable time over there. I've never been also, so I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on the matter. Are you doing anything interesting when you're there?
I'm working on the Canelo Alvarez fight coming up this weekend. It's his first time fighting outside of the US and Mexico. So I'm actually trying to stay up later throughout the week because come fight night, we're tailoring the time to a US audience. So we'll be on air about 2 a.m. and finishing. Canelo is expected to do his ring walk at 6 a.m. local time.
Wow.
So it's going to be a late one.
I mean, the price they pay, I guess, for the money, but it's crazy, isn't it, to think of also locals over there going to watch a fight at that time of the morning. Or I don't know what the attendances are like usually for Saudi boxing, whether they do get people through the doors or whether this is all a money-making thing for the TV and the rights back home.
Yeah, I think it's more a money-making exercise, especially, I mean, not many people are going to be there. Anyway, I mean, kind of the weekend, as we know it, is just a normal day for them. But there's not going to be many people there. But either way, I'm happy to be here, happy to be working on such a huge event.
Absolutely. It's really cool. And the best bit about all of this, as we said, Toby in Saudi Arabia, and he has managed to bring his Halos jersey with him. He was prepared for all eventualities, just in case we needed to jump on here. So I appreciate that. But as I said, we are recording right after a pretty disastrous night for the Halos. We went down 9-3 tonight. It was a close game. Tyler Anderson, another quality start for Tyler. Went 6 innings, the 3 runs given up, only 2 of them earned. Again, I mean, I tweeted that I said it was like, it's one of those where every time you watch Tyler Anderson, it's a quality start. It doesn't really feel like a quality start in the traditional sense of, it's not like a dominant performance on the mound, but at the same time, it is having results and getting the job done. Anyway, Tyler leaves the game and the Angels are tied up and it's in the balance. We get through to the 7th. We have huge opportunities. We get 2 guys on base at 3rd and 2nd with only 1 out, and actually 2 guys coming up that you think might be able to do some damage. You have Logan O'Hoppe first, who's probably been the Angels' most consistent hitter this year. You then have Luis Rengifo, who had a bad night last night, but actually in the Twin series, which we'll come on to, had a really good series over there. Also, he's the sort of guy that can put the ball in play, get some contact, drive the runners in. That did not happen. Then the Angels completely capitulated. Reed Detmers came in and couldn't get an out to save his life. I mean, we'll talk about all of this, Toby, and what we think of it, but it was disastrous. Then there was an error. There was some umpiring. Lots of errors, I would say, from the defense today. Not a very good performance. All over the shop, looked very shaky. The umpiring and the standard of umpiring in this league is horrendous. I mean, some of those runs, it probably didn't make a difference in the end, but 2 more runs, 3 more runs got tacked on as a result of just horrendous umpiring, which we've seen throughout this season. And the Halos go down 9-3, absolutely smashed. We lost last night 5-3. We lost last tonight 9-3. Just awful. But sum it up for me. Sum up how you're feeling after these two games.
Just, I think a lot of fans can share the same emotion that I do, and it's just dejection. Kind of we kind of said to temper the expectations after such a good start. We knew it was coming, that it wouldn't last forever, but I don't think anybody expected it to be this bad. It's just been so bleak. The offense has gone completely cold. The pitching hasn't looked great when it had been. It's just nothing's going right. The defense has looked awful again today. It's just not a lot's going right. I mean, if we're talking about today, I think O'Hoppe and Renheath not being able to drive any runners in, I think they just lost their heads, because then they had a couple of defensive errors each that allowed runners onto base to then bring the big lead on. So I don't think that helped at all. And just the whole series, Karen Paris has disappeared completely.
We always knew he was going to regress, but not
didn't expect it to be this quick and this severe. He's barely got a hit in his last kind of like 10, 15 games. It's just insane. I mean, you opened up by saying you were in black for the end of the Angels season. I thought you were in black for the end of Mike Trout's season.
Well, that I didn't mention, and we should mention April 30th last year, Mike Trout played, 29 games, just gets a meniscus injury and is out for the season. Lightning looks like it struck twice, not necessarily with the severity of the injury, but Mike gets pulled from the game today after playing those 29 games, I think it is. And just, it is so and I think that's partially why I'm so disheartened. Mike is like even in losing seasons, even when the team is not in a great place, being able to watch Mike Trout play healthy baseball is still a good thing. He's still the biggest threat in the lineup. He's still the guy you always want to come up, even if he hasn't been performing as we'd have seen previously in the past this year. He's still got that threat, still hit the 9 home runs. And so just to see that Hall of Famer again go down with an injury, and we don't know anything about the severity at the time of recording. I will actually keep updating, because I'm sure we'll be due an update very soon. But it is just really, really sad to see. And as you said, I think you're right. I think not driving in those runs in the 7th, just the team capitulated as a result, didn't they? They kind of, and I guess this is what happens when you get on a bad run. When you get on a bad run, the confidence drops, it dips. When you don't have those moments that you need, you then start seeing the knock-on effects in game after game after game. And actually, let's just take it back a bit to, we did say temper expectations after the good start. We also said you've just got to enjoy them when they're there. So I don't think any of us should ever feel bad about enjoying those. And I think the team did have some really good energy to start the season, but it has quickly disappeared. And I think the most frustrating thing for me this year, Toby, compared to some of the previous years, is the fact that I still don't think anything we said is untrue. I still don't think that the talent level on this team right now is worse than it had been in previous years. I think this is a better team. I think the talent level there is higher. I think the potential there is higher. I think all of these pieces are there. I mean, it's obviously not the best roster in the world, but like you look up and down the lineup, there is potential in all of them. There is the ability to do so much better. And the approach is just so poor right now that we've seen weeks and weeks of offensive struggles. And we last recorded, didn't we, with Adam, before the Giants and the Pirates series, where we ended up having a pretty spectacular series win against the Giants against all odds, then had a shocker against the Pirates. But you know what? We came out of it okay. We said a 3-3 homestand, not the end of the world. But even then, the signs had been there that we were struggling. And then we've had a week from hell once again, similar to our week in Texas. This week, probably even worse. Let's talk about those twin series. Let's not dissect everything. I don't care about the details at this point. But to go into a team that was struggling so much as the Twins were offensively, particularly as they kept pointing out couldn't hit left-handers, we have a lefty on the mound, and they just, like, they destroy us. We get swept in Minnesota. It is one of the worst road trips I've seen from an Angels team, and I've seen some bad ones, all off the back of a bit of hostility, I think, from the players to the ownership and those at the top in the front office for making them travel after an evening game. It set everything off on the wrong tone, and that's not an excuse for the players because they are the ones out there every day. But there is so much disconnect, I think, across the whole franchise, from ownership to players to coaching staff. It is just a complete mess and failure right now, and just try and justify some of that to me. Try and let me know where you're thinking on how this franchise goes forward, because right now it is a real struggle having seen what we've seen in the last couple of weeks.
I think, yeah, as you said, this road trip has just been completely awful. You mentioned the Texas series, but at least the team looked like it showed some fight. Whereas I think this week, it's just been a complete meltdown. And like you say, having there's weird kind of CBA rules regarding kind of travel and like day games after an evening game if you travel in like 3 hours. And basically the Angels decided to pitch as late as they could for first pitch before they travel the next day. And that was a decision that goes above the head coach's head to the schedule in which Ron Washington isn't a part of. So he was like, we have to just deal with it. But nobody wants to. Unfortunately, the Angels are the biggest culprits, one of the only culprits for it. So it's unlikely to change anytime soon as well. So you kind of just have to suck it up and deal with it, as horrible as it is. So yeah, like you say, absolutely no excuse. But when there's so many disagreements, you kind of, something needs to change.
It does. And just going back to our previous conversation, a bit more on Mike Trout, apparently left the game as a precaution after feeling some discomfort in his left knee. He's had some testing done. He's optimistic he'll be able to play tomorrow. I will believe that when I see it. Discomfort in the left knee, to me, is alarm bells ringing. I've seen this story so many times before. You've seen this story so many times before. Players leave the game as a precaution. They don't think it's too serious. They think, you know what, I'll be back in the lineup tomorrow. It's not tomorrow. I'll be back in the lineup the day after. It's not the day after. You know what, maybe I need a short IL stint. I'll go on for 15 days. And then it's just, oh, actually, I think we need surgery. Like, we've seen all this before. I'm scaremongering. I hope this is not the case. Like, please, Mike, be back in the lineup tomorrow and that left knee is fine. But even though that update there is supposed to, I think, alleviate some of our worries and concerns, it does nothing for me to do that.
Absolutely not. I mean, we've seen it before with player X, player Y, but we've seen it before with Mike Trout. Kind of comes back, the discomfort in the left knee. We saw it in his rehab start in Salt Lake. Kind of was like, oh, he was pulled as a precaution. And then turns out it torn his meniscus again.
Yeah.
So is it the left knee that is already torn twice? Would it be a potential third time?
I'm not sure. I don't want to speculate. I'm not speaking that into existence, but it's just, yeah, whatever. I am down right now. I am really down, really sad on this team. And you try not to. There are ups and downs in the baseball season. We'll probably come out of this and have a good week somewhere along the line in the next couple. I mean, we're back at home. We've been on the road a lot. We're back at home for a lot of May. We're in California a lot. We've got the Dodgers, we've got the Padres, and lots of home games. So hopefully things pick up. Hopefully a bit more routine for the players, a bit more of a settled environment, a bit less travel, a bit more sleep. All of the above leads to some better baseball. But right now, it is hard not to feel so down and despondent as to everything we've seen. This is going to be another year, it looks like, of failure and misery and a lack of progress. And even though we're speaking, we go from extreme highs to extreme lows, and that's how it feels right now. And as I always try to say, it's usually somewhere in the middle, but this couple of weeks has been really, really poor. If I tried to lift the mood very slightly, two people to talk about, I think. One is Zach Neto and the impact he's had coming back, and just looks like the best player on this team, doesn't he?
Oh, completely. I mean, we've mentioned it ad nauseum how good we think Zach Neto is. He was my kind of prediction last year to be the best player. I mean, he does not name Mike Trout, and he's had the shoulder surgery in the off season and come back looking like the same player, looking like a better version, looking like he's improved, even for not playing a lot of baseball and having the shoulder surgery. So yeah, the energy he brings, the offense he's bringing, the defense he's bringing as well. It's such a positive influence on the viewing experience, I guess. And it's not translating to wins because obviously one guy doesn't make a team, but he's trying his best. He needs the support, which he's not getting. He's moved slowly up the lineup from, I think he came back, he was 8th, and he's moved up and he was leading off today. And he's looked comfortable up there. He looks like he's not missed a beat at all, which is a positive sign. And like we say, the potential in this team, there's a lot of potential links that Neto to be a top 10. I think if he carries on the way he's going, he will be the Angels' sole all-star representative, because there's, as the weird MLB rules state, each team must have an all-star. And I think that, I mean, he's missed half of the Angels season so far, in terms of they're only kind of not even 30 games in, but he will be the guy going for the Angels.
Maybe, or they might just give it to Kenley because he's been really good when he's been given the opportunity, as has Tyler Anderson, in fairness, who went, was it last year? Tyler Anderson went. But yeah, Zach Neto, great, love him. Been just a breath of fresh air having him back in the lineup. Everything he's doing defensively, everything he's doing, he's got an OPS over 900, just looks the part, just top of the lineup, love him there. What a man. Second one tonight. It's hard not to talk about the game with at least referencing Gustavo Campero. Just looked fun, right? I mean, he's another one. We can't get our hopes up, but he's had a very interesting minor league career. He's just, in the last couple of years, he's just hit. I think you heard on the broadcast, if you're watching it, talking about him going to Winter Ball and hitting the cover off the ball there. Continued to do that at AA. Got the cup of coffee last year with the Angels. Came up today. Just looked like an absolute menace. And I love a menace. Got on the base pass. I mean, we could easily be talking about a different version of events, because I think he should have been picked off on the steal to second. I think he probably should have been out when he stole third as well, moved up to third. But he didn't. He was there. He caused havoc. It didn't come to anything. But at least he's doing something, right? At least he's trying to make things happen. And I think we need a lot more of that for the Angels. People getting on base and causing chaos. So shout out to him, I guess.
Do you know who he reminded me of today? Zach Neto, when he got caught up for the first time. Just the chaos that he caused. I mean, Zach Neto got hit by how many pitches when he came up?
God, that was just ridiculous.
Causing chaos on the base paths and running and having that energy, the positive energy, kind of making good defensive plays. Campero was excellent out in the field today. So yeah, it just reminded me a lot of the energy that Neto brought when he was first called up. So, you know, if he can continue in that vein, then we could be talking about just another kind of positive presence and just a guy that, like I say, is fun to watch. There's not been a lot that's been fun to watch, let's be real. But, you know, if we can have a couple of guys in the lineup that you're like, you know what, I want to tune in to see what they get up to, then more for it for me.
Yeah, anything but watch Nolan Sanuel run bases. Oh my God. It is painful. That is painful. But he's hitting. And it's something to be said for that, considering the rest of the lineup is not. He still is being fairly consistent. I just want to get your thoughts on the news today on the pitching rotation. So it's been announced that finally, probably not the move. Well, I say probably not the move people wanted. I think a lot of people have been clamoring for Reed Detmers to go back into the rotation, and then look how he performed today. That's not to say that him going into the rotation would be performing in the same way as him coming in the seventh. And even though he's been pitching pretty well out the bullpen this year, he's still obviously not going to be as comfortable there as he would be doing what he's been doing for most of his career. But yeah, going back to the rotation, they've mixed it around. Kikuchi and Soriano sticking where they are. They're then bringing in Hendricks into that third hole. Kahanowitz is dropping down to fourth, and then Anderson going to fifth. That's because Kahanowitz and Soriano are those sinkable pitchers, and they were going back to back, and it made no sense in the series. We know that Anderson and Hendricks both toss very slowly, and no smiles, please. But they are soft tossers, and breaking them up again makes sense from an Angels point of view, so that teams are seeing different things back-to-back nights. So for once, I think you can't really argue with the logic there, although has it taken 30 games to make that call? would be my question.
Well, as they were mentioning today, it's because of Kikuchi not going so long in his previous start that they've been able to kind of switch things around just so he can have like a little bit less rest because he didn't pitch so well. I like it. It's mixing up what teams see, and it's not, like you say, it's not the move that people expected or maybe wanted. They kind of, I think it's proved the experiment's already over. I think with Kyle Hendricks, he's not there. He's not got it. There's nothing left in the tank, to be honest. Veteran presence, sure. Effective pitcher, not so much. So yeah, I think his days are numbered, and I do think it's only a matter of time before we see Detmer starting or Caden Danner, who's absolutely
Yeah, I was going to say
brilliant.
he's having a great time at AAA. The other one is George Claassen in AA, who's also started really well this year. You've got a couple of options for the rotation there. Um, I think Hanowitz is probably on a shortish leash as well right now. Um, After the start of the season has looked pretty shaky. Bounced back quite well yesterday, I thought, after again giving up that 3-run jack to Polanco and just throwing that meatball, absolute meatball in a 3-2 count. Where, I mean, I think this is the problem with the rotation though we've got, and that is symbolic of it. Just not enough whiffs, not enough guys that can blow it past you or get the strikeouts or pitch craftily enough, I guess, to get those swing and misses. So I think, and this is just the eye test, the numbers probably don't back this up, or maybe they back this up. I feel like we get to a lot of 0-2 counts, 1-2 counts, and end up going full or end up walking them because they don't have that strikeout pitch. And we got too many of those guys in the rotation. But we can see improvements, I guess, in that area. We did see improvements to start the year, but even our strikeout guy haven't been great this year. I mean, Kikuchi's really the only one. We know Soriano is a ground ball pitcher and generally pitches to contact anyway. Tyler Anderson actually has enough deception, I think, on the change up, and he does get some swing and misses. But it's not a big, it doesn't feel like a big strikeout unit. And that actually, I think, has been a bit of a problem this year to date when they're not locating well enough.
Yeah, I mean that's your key. To be honest, I think there's nothing more fun than seeing guys whiff on a 78 mile an hour Tyler Anderson changeup. I think it's just fantastic to see because the deception that he shows, and guys trying to take the cover off the ball because he doesn't throw hard. But the deception that he has is actually really effective. And if a couple of guys can use that and learn that and see what he's doing, then yeah, great. But like you say, Soriano's not a strikeout guy. Probably should be with how hard he throws as well, but for whatever reason, he's not. I don't think he mixes his pitches well enough, which is why he only pitches to contact and doesn't have that effective strikeout pitch. And same with Kahanowitz. I don't think he's effective enough with that mix. So yeah, it remains to be seen what they do. And unfortunately, I mean, pitching to contact is great if you can trust the guys behind you. And from what we've seen so far, we can't. There's just been too many errors. I mean, Luis Rengifo is prone to a bit of a head scratcher, and today was a complete nightmare for him in the infield today.
For sure.
So I don't know what I think. You either need to improve the defense or you need to improve the guys pitching. And I don't think that the guys pitching have proven that they can kind of change too much. So yeah, I think it's about kind of trying to just trust who's behind you.
Yeah, we've now kind of got into this talk of what can we do a bit better, what can we tweak here and there, and ultimately, I think that goes away from the fundamental point. I think we're trying to convey this evening, which is just it feels desperate, right? It just feels like once again we're in a place where we are a bad baseball team. Not enough.
And we haven't even mentioned the offense yet.
Oh, what's the point? I mean, what offense? What offense? Like literally, what hitting coach? What are they doing? Ron Washington, he's got to be on the hot seat. Like just every one of those of that hitting staff has to be on the hot seat because the approach is awful. Swinging for the fences all the time. Strikeouts are so high. Until yesterday, we weren't walking at all. I know we had the 5 walks yesterday, but until then, we weren't walking at all. It's so bad to watch. There is no situational hitting other than let's swing really hard and try and get one out of here, which doesn't work other than for a solo shot when pitchers have relaxed a bit, and they're pitching more in the zone because they don't have any jeopardy. And it is so frustrating to watch. And I don't know how that improves either when you've clearly not been given the right tools, these hitters. They're good hitters, lots of them, but they're not performing like that. And they're not being given the opportunity to perform like that. And did you see that article today, which said at the start of the year, they used to give them lots of information about pitchers, lots of information here and there and what the approach should be. And then Ron said, they get too much information. Let's take that away and just let them be hitters. Utter madness. I'm not for the old school style like that. I'm sorry, baseball has moved on. Baseball has moved on so far into the analytics, and they're not always perfect analytics. But what they have done is shown smart baseball teams how to navigate and how to be good teams, and we just have none of that.
Absolutely not. I mean, talking about the management, I think it was completely epitomised by coming out for the 8th inning today, when the Angels were going to make a pitching change and 2 pitchers run onto the field. Ryan Johnson comes from the dugout and Zach Eden comes from the bullpen. And I don't know how that happens. I don't know why that happens, but that epitomises the terrible, terrible management that the Angels currently have. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of Ron Washington. I mean, we've spoken enough about we're not sure the impact a manager really makes on a team, but if this is the impact the manager's having, then clearly it's not working. It's not working out. He might have a good relationship with some guys and a not good relationship with others, but for me, if those kind of decisions are slipping through the net, then there's absolutely no way this can continue at all.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I'm kind of lost for words almost, just of how bad it's been and how bad it's got quite quickly. And I think what's worrying me here as well is who we're playing next. And I think if anyone can be as we are, we can take a step back and just view stuff in the abstract. We're playing the Tigers. Up until last year, the Tigers were basically the team in the Major League Baseball who were as bad as the Angels, who were on as long a playoff drought, who just made bad decisions and got things wrong and had an owner that wasn't spending money in the right places, etc., etc., etc. And they've turned it around. They made the playoffs on a miracle run at the back end of last year where things just clicked. They've started the year this year and they look like a good baseball team. They got maybe not all the pieces in place, but they got enough of the pieces in place that they are a fundamentally good baseball team. We've got them coming into Anaheim for 4 games. I'm worried that they are just going to show us everything that you can become from being a bad team and everything that we haven't done right, which they've been able to. And if we're trying to put the Detroit Tigers up as an example of someone you want to be, I think that shows how worrying things are, considering everything we've seen over the last decade from them as well. But that series coming up, Toby, I mean, how do you see it going? Can we see some sort of recovery from the Angels? Any signs of life?
No. If you ask me one word, no. Because Detroit's, you'd say the back end of last year that their kind of pitching staff was just an absolute mess. We saw it in the playoffs. They were using they had the bullpen for every other game and then Scubal. But now their pitchers are back. I can't see the Angels doing anything, especially with how cold the bats are and how effective Detroit's pitching has been. Then there's absolutely no way. I mean, Javi Baez, who has been one of the league's worst hitters over the last 3 or 4 years, basically since he signed a big contract with Detroit, he's basically, I don't need to play anymore. He hit a grand slam today. So,
hitting over 300 as well, I think.
I mean, I don't know what's happened to the guy. So, he's whatever Detroit, whatever they've put in the water there, I hope they can leave some of it in Anaheim.
I don't think you meant that, but talking about the water in Michigan's probably something we should move on from. We know what got put in the water there, and it was a disaster. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this series. But then we got the Blue Jays after as well. It's just, now you're looking at it, now you're looking at things being, we're a bad team, we're playing good teams. It's never going to end well. Although the one shining light maybe and thing we can hold on to is actually we've done better against good teams this year than we have against bad teams. We seem to be not able to beat anyone that's bad like us. And our series wins have come against some reasonable teams. but I'm not going to put any positives really out there because I just don't feel it right now. I mean, I haven't got much else to say. I think we've said where we are. Just utter frustration and despondence, really, with the team, where the front office is, the direction it's gone over this past decade, and how, even though we like to think there's some light at the end of the tunnel with this young players we've got, you move towards it and then you take a step back, and it's highs and lows. But right now, I'm definitely on the ebb of the low after today's series, or yesterday and today's games in the series. But any final words from you?
I think that the problem is it's just been rinse and repeat for the Angels for so long. There's been no change in strategy. It's kind of sign guys to 1-year deals, hope they can do it, maybe a 2-year deal, hope that they can bring back some form. I can't remember the last time the Angels signed somebody who'd come off a good year. It had been kind of bullpen wise, yeah, maybe, but we know how variable pitching can be, as we've seen. But then hitting wise, it's just guys who have shown form but not shown form for 4 or 5 years and expect them to suddenly recapture it. And it's just not worked. So I think there needs to be a fundamental change in strategy and actually try and use the minor league system. The Angels call up their prospects so quickly because their minor league system is so bad. So there needs to just be a complete wholesale change. And I just can't see it happening.
But I'm also worried as a result of that. Christian Moore, for example, who has had a really good week, but he had 2 really bad weeks to start this year and was swinging and missing at everything, K'ing a lot, not getting on base. He's now had a good week. He hit his first home run this week and has started heating up. I'm now worried they're going to mess up this development. They've seen the team struggling offensively. They'll send down Kyron Paris. They'll call up Christian Moore and expect that is going to make a whole world of difference. And in reality, in the way they're playing, you cannot do that. Do not rush another prospect, even if it has worked out in the past, which I think it has for those guys. Doesn't mean you need to keep doing the same thing again. And I mean, I think if Christian Moore has another good week and Kyron Paris continues on this huge slump, I feel like it's inevitable that the front office will make that move, particularly when they're trying to find reasons for Angels fans to keep coming. Because as loyal as we are, if they keep losing, why would people keep turning up year on year, day on day, right? But we'll see. That's for next week's problem, probably.
I mean, what do they say the definition of an insanity is? Trying to do the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's what the Angels are doing. They are insane. We're insane for following them, but it's never going to change, is it?
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. And on that note, let's leave it. We will be back very soon. Enjoy the fight on Saturday night or Sunday morning.
Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Depends where you are.
Enjoy that. We'll be back definitely after the weekend to see what has happened. But until then, thanks for listening. Sorry that it's been so miserable, but I think this is just where we are right now. And it is now it's 20 to 1 in the morning. I should probably try and get some sleep. The whole point of day games is to try and catch up on some sleep, but haven't done that today. Anyway, thanks, Toby, and go Halos.